everything.
Alhamdulillah.
Been our wash, Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, everything's God give me.
How you doing, brother?
I'm alright, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Good. How's everything going today? Good?
Yeah, it's alright. I mean, nice little easy journey. 30 minutes from Nottingham, it's not too bad. Just shame about the weather. It's brutal out there, isn't it? But soon have some sunshine come through.
And for those who are watching, obviously, I've had a couple guests on now, and you're a new addition. And if you want to tell the people watching, what do you do and for a living, for a career?
Well, so football obviously is the main one. I was in professional football from the age of 8 right through till I was about 21. And then I came out of it when I left Leeds, and now I'm in part-time football. A few ventures up in Scotland, and now back down in England. So there's that on the side as well as working part-time. You've got to obviously earn a living. Nowadays you can't just sit down on your backside and expect to get money through the door. So yeah, just football and working at the minute, but the goal's always to get back into full-time football.
That's good. And you're at Workington now, and how's life there currently?
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's really, really good. I mean, it's very close to home, so training ground's only like 20 minutes away. It's actually at like a college, so we're just on the AstroTurf there Tuesday, Thursdays. But also it's a great group of lads. There's a lot of boys there that I've played with in the past, so there's a lot of familiar faces, and also it helps when the manager that is there at the minute I've worked with him previously, only for a short space of time, but it was always a good thing that you know a familiar face going into a new club, that you know you're going to get along with him really well.
That's good. And let's obviously start from the beginning. All right, you were born in Glasgow, but you moved to Carlisle at a young age. And how was it there, and how did things start?
Yeah, so obviously you can tell I don't have an accent. I don't have a Scottish accent. My mum is very Scottish. So yeah, it's how it really happened was dad was living down south, mum was living up north. They obviously got together, had me, and through dad's footballing career, we moved about quite a bit, but we just seemed to settle in Carlisle. So me and my mum just kind of stayed there, and lived there since. But it was good. It's a good little city. I think a lot of people, when you say to them, I'm from Carlisle, they're like, where? Like, where's that? I've had a lot of people say to me, was that in Wales? And I'm like, no. Like, it's the border of Scotland, near Newcastle. You've got to say we're an hour away from Newcastle to people to actually understand where you are on the map. So, but yeah, life was good. Just a happy kid growing up. Always had a ball at my feet, obviously from my dad's influence. And I'm still there today.
Yeah, and obviously you love Carlisle, you like it, and getting into the club as a first step, how did you get into Carlisle?
So how it was quite, I can still remember it to the day, but we played there was me and my best mate, Charlie Birch at the time. We were playing for just a little grassroots local team. So my dad and his dad set the team up, and it was called Cumwinton Crusaders. So we just joined that from like really young. Started off as like little toddlers and tots and stuff, just kicking ball about. But obviously they then developed age groups. So as we went through the age groups, we were under 8s. And Carlisle United obviously came down and had a little watch of different players at different age groups. And I remember I was just going to bed at like age 8 or 9. And my mum was on the phone to my dad, and she was like, "Oh, your dad wants to speak to you." And I was like, "Oh, it's just routine, just normal, like before bed." And he says, "Oh, how do you feel about going into Carlisle United?" And at first I thought he was joking. And I was like, "Yeah, it would be really, really good." And he was like, "No, I'm being serious. Like, Carlisle have came in and looked at you, like they want you to go in on trial. Like, so at that age, at 8, you go in for like a 2-week trial period, see how you get on, and then they decide whether they like obviously want to take you into the academy." So it was at that young age, I was like, oh my God, like I've not made it, but I'm going to be, it's a first step into football, like properly. And obviously you'd grown up, not really being from the area, but growing up in the area, you always knew about Carlisle United and you always went and watched the game. So it was a great feeling to be told like you'll be going in and training them for 2 weeks. But to do it with my best mate at the time as well, it was just so much easier going in. You're not like just on your own, and it's a new face, a new setup. We really took it in our stride together, and from that we got signed up, thankfully, after the 2-week period.
Yeah, that's a good story, you know, spotting you just in the park and then to having a trial. And obviously you said you did it with a mate. How is it like, both of you, you know, having a goal in front of you and working together?
It was brilliant. Like, for me and Charlie, it was all we ever dreamed about. Like, all we ever done when we're together was play football, was nothing else. Like, football. No matter, you gave us a pitch the size of that piece of paper, or you give us a whole park to play on, it was always football. And to do it together and go in together, I think it just made that transition so much more smoother. And plus, you could really enjoy it being best mates as well. So both getting told that obviously you're going to be taken on, we were buzzing. But to then go from 8s right through to youth team level was a real journey, because we went through every single age group together. We'd done it all together. Like, it was a really, I'd say, proud moment, but it was like all our dreams were coming true at the same time and aligning at the same time, because that's all we ever spoke about.
Yeah, no, that's true, because especially nowadays, like, everyone has different hobbies, like whether it's football or gym or basketball or even trading sometimes or things like that. But if you have a group of people that are obsessed together, like almost like a brotherhood,
Yeah.
we go through the good times together, the bad times together, but you have one objective, which was getting into youth football, like you said. And there was obviously, mentioned earlier, transition from Carlisle to Leeds.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you went through the youth system, Carlisle to under-18s, if I'm correct. And why did you go to Leeds? How did you go to Leeds?
So, obviously, we found out that we were getting our youth team contracts from under-16s, which was the first step. And that was obviously the first taste of professional football, realistically, because at 16 you're still at school, you're doing your GCSEs, you're still training twice a week, Tuesday, Thursday, play on a Sunday. So when you found out you had your youth team contract coming through, it was like, wow, like, this is really it now. We're going to be in every day, we're going to be training every day. You're living the life of the professional footballer, the dream that you always dreamt of doing. So we had our first year, and it was brilliant. Managers were Darren Edmondson and Gav Skelton. Darren's now at Penrith. Gav's now actually working at Hartlepool, and Gav was there for numerous years as Carlisle's assistant manager and everything. So yeah, we went through the first year, and to be fair, Charlie actually got on the bench for the first team in his first year. So that was a big thing.
Yeah.
So obviously we were all buzzing for him with that, and then the second year came in, and I actually came down this neck of the woods, to do like a personal fitness program, because I thought to myself, I'm going to go back and I'm going to really hit the ground running here. This is my last year in youth football. I've got to get a pro contract. I've got to do basically what it takes to get my foot in the door for the breakthrough. Yeah. So I came down here and I worked with a guy called Jordan Slack, who was Leicester City's first team fitness coach, and he's now Tottenham Hotspur's first team fitness coach. And I think I worked with him 6 to 8 weeks, and I'd gone back and I just hit the ground flying. Like, pre-season games with the youth team was like a breeze. I was doing the running and I was so fit. I felt so strong. Charlie's dad then was now the youth team manager, so we had a lot of changing around in managerial roles and things between youth team and first team. So it was quite a weird feeling, but a good feeling, having your best mate's dad as your manager. But it was still a good feeling at the same time, doing it with him and his dad. So obviously we smashed pre-season. We'd gone to Budapest for pre-season tour the year before, but then we had a new manager come in called Stephen Presley, who was the manager of the first team, and a few of the boys from the youth team were on the bench in the pre-season games, just giving them a bit of taste of first team football. And I was still waiting for the opportunity. I thought it'll come eventually. Like, don't force it, it will come. So we were getting ready to go to Budapest again for pre-season, and Gavin came in and says, you, like myself, Taylor, Jared, and in fact it could have been them three. Jared Brantwaite, who obviously plays for Everton now.
Oh yeah, he does.
Yeah, Jared. I went through the whole youth system with Jared, under 8s to first team. So yeah, shout out Jared there.
Yeah.
He's obviously smashing it now in the Premier League and stuff. So so we stayed behind and we didn't go to Budapest. And I only thought of it as that first team just need numbers for training. Like, I didn't really think of any game time as such. So we're training with them the rest of the 18 lads were obviously over there in Budapest, and the manager one day just pulled me in, Presley, and says, got me up in front of a whiteboard, me, Harry McCurdy, and a lad called Kwame Thomas, and he says, oh, how do you feel about playing there? And he pointed to the left-hand side, like left wing, and I was like, yeah, like that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, right, okay, no problem, you'll start there on Saturday. And I was thinking, yeah, he's like joking with me. He's not being serious. So we go out to training that day, and like on a Thursday and a Friday, you go through shape and a few things.
Tactics.
Yeah, I just thought, so he's put me there, and I'm thinking, this is just for shape. This is not going to actually pan out the way it's going to pan out. So that was Thursday, and then we went out again Friday, same again. I was in the same position. It went Harry on the right, Kwame down the middle, me on the left. And I'm thinking, surely not. Like, someone's going to come in, or one of the lads from the opposition team, like in the shape system, is just going to slot into my position. He's just trying to see where I'm going to fit in if I was to play. So then it got to the Saturday, and I think we played Tranmere in pre-season, and came into the changing room, and like obviously they put the squad list up, and obviously a few boys missed out, and I was in it, so I thought, oh brilliant, like I'll be on the bench at least. And then he just stood at the front of the thing and read the team out and gone, yeah, Josh, left wing. I was like,
starting.
Wow. Like I didn't know whether to be excited. I didn't know whether to be like, what, just bricking it really. But yeah, we played the game, and I played full 90 minutes. It was such a surreal moment. It's only pre-season, but you count it as your debut in professional football, don't you? So it was such a surreal moment, and a moment that I'll always remember.
Yeah, and when you said, you found yourself in the starting lineup, first you took it as a joke, but it turned out to be the real thing. And how did you feel? Were there like nerves? I'm guessing a lot of nerves. But
a lot, yeah. There was nerves, but also excitement as well, because obviously I'm inside the building on a Thursday and a Friday, and you can tell who's going to be in the squad and who's not. So I told my mates that, look, I could potentially be in the squad here. Like, are you going to come to the game? And like, yeah, we'll come to the game. It's pre-season. We want to see how the team's going to shape up for the season coming ahead. So like, yeah, we'll come down. So as they've got there, the team's obviously been announced while they're there, and I'm on it. So the feeling of knowing that they're in the stand, watching, as well as myself thinking it was a joke to start with, it made it even better. And they give me a bit of stick, like on the sideline, just as your mates do. Like they're supporting you, but they're like, oh,
horsing around.
Yeah, this and this, you're doing that, and I was just like, right, whatever. But yeah, it was such a surreal moment. There was nerves, but there was just so much excitement as well, because from being the age of 8, thinking, oh, I want to play for Carlisle, it's your hometown, like you want your home club, to actually stepping out and playing in pre-season was unbelievable. And then it was like the week after as well, like he'd done the exact same thing. He pulled me into the room and went, are you okay still playing there? And once again, I don't know why, after I just made my debut, he said, I thought it was a joke. And then we played Fleetwood, and again, the same thing again. I played, and I started again, and it was so surreal. It was such a good moment.
Did the ball start rolling then from the first game, second game, and then?
Yeah, so it was. We went up to like the north of Scotland, like really far up in Scotland as well, and I came off the bench after I'd made my first like start. Or it was I came off the bench, sorry, and then I made my first start. So I had a little bit of a taster then, but I genuinely didn't think he'd start me in any of the games. So it was the last 2 games he started me in, and I was meant to be involved in one of the pre-season games just for a little few minutes against I can't remember, it was somewhere down near Manchester, but we had one of the players sent off, so it kind of screwed up the whole system tactics of us coming on. So I travelled and didn't get on, which was a shame. But yeah, from there the ball just started rolling. So we played the last 2 pre-season games, which were Fleetwood and Tranmere, and then the season kicked off that week after. So again, I didn't really think anything I'll be anywhere near the squad, but the squad got named. A few the boys in the youth team were named as part of like the 23-man squad, but then obviously you only have a certain amount on the bench for the actual game day. So there was only me and Jared named on the bench for the first game of the season. So it was so surreal, like red scorching hot day. It was packed for the first game of the season. You're going out, you're warming up. It's like you had the nerves whilst you're warming up when you're just pinging balls, me and Jared, to each other. Like, you can't mess this up because you've got a whole stadium full watching you.
It's a big chance.
It's a big chance, yeah. So like obviously the pitch was like a carpet. It was just a dream. And being on the bench, it was such an experience. I didn't get on, but I could say like I'd been on the bench on the first game of the season.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's all you need, like in life, is where you just need one chance, and if you make the most of it, like you did, on that debut at left wing, then it's just going to keep on coming again and again and again. So, yeah, that's great. And obviously, moving to Leeds then, from Carlisle, I'm guessing they spotted you, the young Josh at Carlisle, starting, and they wanted to have a look.
Yeah, so it was a bit of a whirlwind, to be fair. What happened, it was 1 minute I was in training with Carlisle on the bench for the first game of the season, and then you obviously hear whispers and rumours of people like looking into you, and my agent at the time, Danny Webber, who obviously played for Man United, Watford, like he had a really, really good career, was just saying like, look, there's interest, there's a few clubs there, but obviously we're not going to think too much into it, not going to look into it too much because we don't know what's going to happen, just concentrate on your football. And I says, yeah, that's fine. I thought like I'm at my home club, I'm gaining experience from being in the first team, in and around the first team every day, like just focus on that. And then I got a phone call off David Holdsworth, who was he sporting director or something? He was some kind of role like that at the club. And he rang me and he went, "Oh, Josh, just to say congratulations, we've accepted the bid from Leeds. You don't need to come to training." And I was like, right. And I was a bit like, what's going on? Because I thought obviously it was a very slow process. I didn't think it would just happen that quickly. So I was like, all right, okay, no problem. Like, thanks very much for letting me know. Basically, all the best and like, cheers. Basically, farewell. So I was ticking over by myself in the gym, just keeping myself fit. And I remember one day in particular, my dad rang me and said, like, "Son, where are you?" I said, "Oh, I'm just in town." I was with one of my mates. I said, "I'm just having a wander through town." He went, "All right, okay." He says, "Just in the next few days, obviously with everything being agreed, just be ready to kind of pack up and we'll go down and sort everything out." So I was like, yeah, no problem, that's fine. About an hour or two later, got another phone call, Dad again. Sorry, where you at? I'm like, I'm still in town, like I'm not just gonna leave, like I'm still in town having a wander. He went, "How quickly can you get home, pack your bag and get down to Leeds?" I was like, "What, you mean like right now?" He's like, "Yeah, right now." He says, "They want you at the game tonight, they've got Stoke in the Carabao Cup." He says, "They want you to go down, watch the game, sign in the morning."
Oh, wow. So
like I just had to abandon my mate in town. I was like, "Look, I can't get you home, like I need to go now." He's like, yeah, sound, just go. So I went home, packed a tiny little suitcase. I was like, right, I've got to fly down. So I flew down to Leeds, met my dad and my agent at the time at the hotel. We went to the game, and Ellen Road is a place where I can't really describe the noise that comes out of that place. Like when it's unbelievable. Yeah. Like you can tell there's so much history within the football club. So walking up them steps for the first time, we got there a bit late, so it had already kicked off. But marching on together, we're still getting sung, and that was just echoing around the stadium. It was so loud. Unfortunately, obviously, we lost that game on penalties, so we didn't progress through to the Carabao Cup like next round. But it was a real taste of, wow, like this is a big football club that I'm potentially joining here, and you got a real feel for how things were going to then be. And obviously from going from Carlisle, that's just such a small city, to driving into Leeds city centre and it's big skyscrapers and it's lights everywhere. It was such a surreal moment. So yeah, that's how it happened really. It was just really quick, and then signing everything the next morning after watching the first team game, and that was it. That was me there then.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Like I'm hearing this the first time. You just got a call. You're like, right, you're off to Leeds. But was there anything like behind the scenes that happened? Did you have any say in it, or was it just up to the executive?
No. So like, the manager, to be fair to Stephen Presley, like Stephen was so good with me. He was brilliant with me. He sat me down. He said, "Look, Josh, in all honesty, I don't really want you to go." He says, "Because if you stayed here, gain some more exposure in the first team, more minutes," he says, "and then maybe in January, maybe in the summer, we look at the options and then you go." And I was like, that's like, I fully respect obviously what you're saying. And I was a 17-year-old lad at the time. Yeah. And as soon as like anyone says Leeds United to you, you're like, yeah, I've got to at least consider it. And my dad, to be fair to him, he turned around and says like, "Look, if you don't want to do this, we don't need to do it right now. Like, you don't need to go." And I was like, no. So I thought about it. I thought through it a lot. And obviously I love Carlisle. Absolutely love Carlisle United. But for me at the time, I was like, I can't turn down this opportunity. I feel like this is it now. And if I say no to it now, it won't ever come back again. It might never go. It might never come back, sorry. So I took the jump and I was like, let's do it. Let's, the whole plan comes to head, let's go ahead with it, let's do it. So obviously when I got the phone call, I was very, very excited. But it happened so quickly, like I say. But I did have the option whether to stay or whether to go. And to Stephen Presley, to be fair to him, he made it very clear that he wanted me to stay. And he was a great, great manager for me. But as well, not long after I left, Stephen left and a new manager came in. So he might not have liked the way I played and my face might not fit into his system. So if I turned down that opportunity there and stuck with this new manager that came in, I could just have been back in the 18s and not got a pro contract.
Yeah,
the dream could have been squashed there and then. So yeah, although it was really, really quick, it was down to me. It was my decision.
Yeah. Sometimes if you see a little gap, a little risk, you got to take it.
You've got to take it 100%.
Yeah, and obviously moving to Leeds, like you said, new city, big skyscrapers, lights.
Yeah.
Leeds' history, obviously. And how was it at Leeds, like training and playing and things like that?
It was a very big change, like very big change. Like you heard the stories of Marcelo Bielsa, like you heard his stories
system.
of Murder Ball, and obviously his nickname's El Loco, so he's a bit crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was massive culture change. Massive. I mean, I got put in digs. Never stayed in digs in my life. I was in there with 3 other lads and an old couple. Bless them, they were brilliant. They were so good at looking after all of us. So getting used to that, of having my own space, my own room. I did have my own room in the digs, but it was like my comfort, like my own house.
Yeah.
My own living area, my own mum.
Comfort.
Yeah. So getting used to that was difficult, because that's a massive change in itself. But then going in to the training ground, Carlisle's training ground is, well, at the time, they've got plans for a new one now, but at the time it was the stadium, a pitch behind the stadium, and the youth team then went and trained at a rugby club.
Oh yeah.
Whereas I'm going into Leeds, we're going through the big double gates. You've got 2 pitches on your right hand side that are like carpets. You've got an AstroTurf, you've got a massive big building, you've got an indoor AstroTurf, you've got about 8 other pitches over there, you've got a swimming pool.
It's just gym somewhere, sauna somewhere. Whatever.
I was just like, this is, jaw dropped. Even my dad's jaw dropped, and he'd played for some decent clubs in his time, and he was like, I have never ever seen anything like this. So to deal with it all, it was a lot to process and a lot to take in, and I do think it took me quite a while to set in. But the lads were great with me. The lads were really good with us. They made us feel very welcome. The staff made me feel very welcome. It was then when it got down onto the training pitch, I loved it because it was all fresh, all new ideas. Obviously, Bielsa had his way of working. He didn't speak any English. I think he did, but he didn't do it much. But every training session was on an iPad. So like any drill you done, you had to watch the iPad in front of him, all his coaching staff, and all his players. But you'd get separated off into groups. So like you'd watch that drill and do that drill, but you'd watch that one and do a different one. And it was just spread over like 4 pitches.
To figure out yourself.
Yeah, so like they were quite complex drills at the time. Well, for someone coming from League 2 to Championship Premier League level, it was a struggle to get your head around, but it was a challenge that I was thriving on. Like I was like, I'm here now, I've done it, now really graft your socks off and get to where you want to get to.
Yeah. Once you're a certain part in, it's kind of hard to turn back. Like you're in, the digs, like you said, Leeds. You're in now, you might as well just carry on and force through it. Obviously, you talk about training and things like that. And what about games at Leeds? Did you get much experience there? Or?
So, yeah, I had a few games. I mean, I picked up a little niggle in my knee, which set me back, which weren't good because you've just signed for the club. You don't want to then be tarnished with the brush of we've signed someone that's injury prone or whatever. I think it was due to the intensity and the running, because like it was just non-stop running basically for Bielsa. It was like, you don't stop, whatever you're doing, you do not stop. So it took its effect on my knee. So I had a little bit of time out there, but when it comes to game times, I don't know. It was whether I was looking back now, it was whether I was slow to get going to then for them to stick me in teams to then play, or the transitional period, which didn't help because COVID hit. So as soon as everything stopped, so I was only 5-6 months into my first year, and COVID just hit. And then the lads, the coaching staff and everyone says, you're going to go home for 10 days, then we'll bring you back. It got to 6 months down the line and I was still at home. 10 days was then 6 months of not being in the club. But every day we were out running. Every day we had a session to do. So every day was road running, or you'd go to a pitch and do it. You'd have to send it into the group chat. Individual work, yeah. So it's that interaction with all the lads and all the players, and you just lose it. So it was a very hectic time to just go and sign for a club. And obviously whilst that was still going on, we were flying in the Championship. The boys were flying, and we obviously won the league that year. The first team won the league, and I remember sitting at home whilst it was COVID and seeing on Sky Sports Leeds United promoted to the Premier League. Obviously I was made up, I was like, my dreams have come true, I'm a Premier League player. So yeah, to go back after COVID was a strange time, because everything, you still had your rules and regulations of meters apart, and we always had to get COVID test in the morning before we got into training. If you had it, you had to go and isolate. It was still up in the air, but it got back to normality quicker than I thought. But obviously as soon as we went into that the Premier League, and talking about game time like you mentioned, we signed Sam Greenwood, who's an exceptional player. We signed him. We signed Joe Gelhardt. We signed Rafinha. We signed Rodrigo, who played for Valencia in the Champions League.
New batch coming in.
Whole new batch of people. So little me from Carlisle, as you can imagine, just gets put right down the pecking order. Because when you've got Cody Drame, plays for Hull now, you get players like that, of that calibre, coming in. A little boy from Carlisle isn't going to get looked at as much as your big names like them. So it was even harder to then get into squads and 23s. And Bielsa's way of working was, if certain first team players didn't play on a Saturday in the Prem, on the Sunday or the Monday, they'd play in the 23s. So West Brom turned up at the training ground, getting off the bus, and they see Pablo Hernandez, Pascal, Struik, Helder Costa, Leif Davies, Rodrigo, Alioski, all warming up for a 23s game. Can you imagine being a West Brom? Yeah, imagine being a West Brom player coming off the bus and thinking, I thought this was their 23s, not first team. But Bielsa's way was, if you don't play Saturday, you play Monday. So all them players come in, and then obviously your first starters who were in the 23s would then become bench players, and then your bench players would then get dragged into. So then there was me, who was just boom, 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 yeah. So yeah, it was a struggle. And by the end of it, obviously it was such a great learning experience and taste of what life is like at that high level. It did get to the point where I was like, do I really want to be here anymore? I wasn't enjoying it. I was just going home, training, going home again, sitting in my room, dark room, thinking I just want to go home. I don't want to be in Leeds anymore. And it was mentally wise, it was very, very draining. And it got to the last year, and I was actually training on my own for the latter stage. Well, I say on my own, there was me and 5 other lads that the club basically said, look, we're not going to renew your contracts.
Frozen out.
Yeah, you can go and look for elsewhere, look at other clubs, or do your own thing, really. So I went to numerous clubs on trial, loads of them, and for whatever reason, some obviously face didn't fit, or I wasn't exactly what they were looking for at the time. And then Fleetwood came in, and they were like, yeah, we'll do something with you, we'll put something together for you. And I was like, brilliant, this is my chance now. I've got another opportunity in football. I can go to Fleetwood, start fresh. I'm an hour or 2 away from home. I'm so much closer. And all throughout the summer, I was waiting for a phone call to go sign the papers. Let's go get this done. I was looking at houses, and then they went into an embargo. They went into a transfer embargo. I had no money, so they couldn't sign me. So I was like, brilliant. So I'm sat there in Leeds thinking, I'm rotting away in my room here, not getting any game time. I'm not training with a team. I'm not training with any of the lads. I'm just on my own with a fitness coach. It was like pre-season for 9 months. It was horrible. And then thankfully, I went home, and I actually walked into my mum's work. I said, I'm done. I'm done with football now. I'm just gonna hang my boots up. I don't want to play anymore. It got that bad. I was just like, I'm finished. With obviously the mental health side and stuff, there was the club did speak to me about it and stuff, and they're like, if you need anything, you just need to ask. But there was a guy called Callum Williams, yeah, I think it was his second name was Williams or Williamson, and he was great for me. Like after training, I'd just go in and speak, just about anything really. Like it wasn't really about how I was feeling. It was just like a crack, just a chat. Yeah, just like obviously have someone there, just have a speak to and stuff. And Alex, who was the fitness coach at the time, Spanish Alex, he was superb as well. Like he was getting pulled from pillar to post with first team players, getting told they need rehab, they need this, they need that, but also concentrating on me. And the work he done with me, I don't know where he's at now. I mean, if he sees this, then brilliant. But Alex was superb with me, and I think I'm glad from going and having that mental challenging side of my career, because it's made me who I am now. Like I look at things a whole lot differently now, and I speak a lot more openly about how I feel and when I feel. Because obviously every day you're not just gonna have a perfect day now that's gone.
There's bumps.
There's bumps in the road, no matter what age you are. Like I'm 23 now, and there's been plenty of bumps in the last year. So I speak openly. Like I go to therapy. I've been to counselling numerous times. Therapy, hypnotherapy especially, is one that I'm at the minute. Yeah. And obviously people think it's just like you dangle a little clock in front of your face and you sleep, but it's not. It's all to do with just looking at things in a different aspect. The way your brain works, different parts of your brain, that like a devil and an angel on your shoulder.
Good and the bad.
Telling you, like the analogy that my therapist gave me was a drug addict, for example. On one shoulder, the angel would be like, "Don't take this. You're ruining yourself. It's like you're killing yourself essentially."
The warnings, yeah.
Yeah, you're wearing yourself out. Whereas the devil on your shoulder is like, "But remember, when you took whatever it was, how good you felt."
Exactly.
So it's like the
balance.
It's the balance. So the amount of stuff I've learned through therapy is brilliant. Like it's so good to open your eyes and to look at things in a different way and control what you can control. Exactly. Like don't get stressed over what you can't control. So for anyone out there, and I've done my little article, my little piece with the News and Star, which is a local newspaper back home. For anyone who wants to search that up and have a read through it, or message me and just speak, like I want to be someone who people can come to and speak about it. Yeah, I want to be someone who can be that person's not shoulder to cry on, but they can come and speak if they want to speak, if they feel comfortable speaking to me about it, because I'll openly admit that my time at Leeds was a very, very challenging time. I mean, I lost my auntie like when I was there. That was a traumatic experience, plus being on my own, plus being pulled from pillar to post and travelling up and down the country with different football clubs on trial and stuff. It was a tough time. And I mean, as much as I got up in the morning and didn't want to do it, I had to, because I was like, look, if this is what your career, if this is the path you want to go down, Josh, you've got to do it.
Exactly.
But obviously coming home and really sitting back and taking a deep breath from it all, it took a massive, massive effect on me. Yeah.
Thank you, obviously, for telling us about this, because a lot of the time there's always, for everyone, not just footballers, any person at all, there's going to be bumps, but it's how you deal with it. Because either, respectfully, you could have gone on, cried and quit and everything, or you could have, maybe it was going to be tough, but just keep on going, because at some point it's going to stop, isn't it? At some point maybe a loan's going to come in, or maybe something like that's going to come in.
Exactly, yeah.
It's what you do with it.
It is, yeah. It's like, what was it I said? It was actually my mum that told me. It's like, you're not having a bad life, it's just a bad day. Exactly. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's not a bad life, it's a bad day. And if you get past that day, then that's an accomplishment, that's an achievement. Getting up in the morning, for people who are struggling, just you getting up in the morning and going out, that's an achievement.
Exactly.
The fact that you've done that and managed to do it, you should be proud of yourself for doing it. But yeah, like you say, like anyone in any industry of life, whether they're in sport, whether they're not in sport, if you're managing to actually get up and function during the day, you're already one massive step in front of where you think you are.
That's true. Obviously, thank you for talking about the mental health bit as well. And obviously, you went through everything you went through, and you moved to FC United, like you said, by loan. How was it like there? That
was brilliant. Like I only spent 6 months there, but it was just like a breath of fresh air. Like obviously, I'm in Leeds every single day, obviously dealing with what I was dealing with, and then going into somewhere new And Neil Reynolds was the manager at the time. He was brilliant with me. He was just like put his arm around us. Basically, all he wanted me to do was just play with a smile on my face again, and just play with a load of confidence. So he'd done exactly that, and especially the boys at the club, they'd done that as well. And it was a great 6 months from January to the end of the season. I loved every single minute of it. The fans were brilliant. It's like a real family club. Obviously, it's separated from Man United, so the fans have got so much to do with the club and put so much time and effort into it. You could really tell it was a family-based football club. And yeah, I loved every minute of it, and the people that I met, and also I got to play out in Milan, so European football, as they say. That was an experience that will always obviously stick with me for the rest of my life.
And do you think the big difference from that compared to Leeds is you had people that believed in you? They were like, right, play how you want to play. As long as you're happy, we believe in you. We've got everything to offer.
100%, yeah. Like, I don't doubt that Leeds didn't believe in me, or they wouldn't have signed me. They wouldn't have paid the money for me. But at the end of the day, like, you look at football as like a business, and they had a business to run at the end of the day, and they had a goal of staying in the Premier League, buying the players who they wanted to play. So little me at the time would have got pushed down the pecking order. So it's understandable. Like, I understand how football works. I'm not naive to that.
Exactly.
But yeah, to go into somewhere with a manager and a coaching staff and players that really seen the potential in me and give me the confidence and the platform to just go and show it again for another 6 months was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, and after that, obviously you moved up to Scotland, anaesthetic.
Yep.
And how's it like there in Scotland? Because it's different to England, I'm guessing, a lot colder, different mentality-wise.
Yeah, the style of play was a lot different as well. I feel like the Northern Premier League that obviously FC play in, and now I'm at Workington, we play in the same division. A lot less time on the ball. You get pressed a hell of a lot quicker, and you've got to be really, really sharp to play in the Northern Prem. And I think people actually underestimate how hard it is to play in the Northern Prem, because the teams in there and the calibers of players who have been at top flight, who are dropping down into these leagues, because there's a lot of money in the league. Like, people might think, oh, it's not really a decent standard. It is. Like, it's a very, very good standard, with a lot of teams like Macclesfield who have just got that pumping loads of money into it. But yeah, going up to Scotland, you did get a lot more time on the ball. It's more possession-based football. There's not really... You do get teams that press the life out of you, but I felt like you did get a lot more time on the ball.
So there's a massive difference, obviously, between football in England at FC United and moving up to Scotland. How's it like?
Yeah, I think there's a big difference. There's a jump in standard as well. So when I say standard, I don't mean like one's poor and one's really good. There's the pressing aspect, whereas in like the Northern Prem, it being such a physical league, you get pressed all the time. You don't really feel like you've got that much time on the ball. Whereas in Scotland, I feel like it's more possession based. And with the standard of teams, like we played Falkirk, they're obviously a Scottish Premiership Championship side, but they're in League One at the time, and you can just tell by the quality of them, it's all possession based. There's not really much intense pressing involved. It is more breaking teams down and working opportunities, and obviously a big difference between the two England and Scotland leagues is as well that I'd say 90% of the pitches in Scotland are AstroTurf, whereas in England it's the mix between grass and Astro. But yeah, going from that 6 months in English football, then up to Annan for the 2 years, it was a difference. I wouldn't say it was a big difference, but you could definitely notice the differences in styles of play and atmospheres and things.
Colder, much colder,
a lot colder, and travelling as well was so much more. So obviously when I first signed for Annan, we were in League Two, and the furthest place we had to go was Elgin, but that was like a 5-hour journey. So we'd leave at 6 a.m, get up there for like 1:30, play the game, travel back. It would be a long day.
Full day.
Yeah.
And obviously Scotland, I guess, did you enjoy it up there in Scotland? You felt like you had a nice little spell there?
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, Annan was a great group of lads. Like, they were really, really good. A lot of banter, a lot of practical jokers in the squad, but ultimately a great group of lads. And I feel like that first year we had when we got promoted from League Two to League One was we were a real good group of lads, and the core of the lads, the banter and everything, it got us over the line. But also the manager, the players that he brought in, for example, was a lad called Reece Lyon. I think without him we wouldn't have got promoted. He was the catalyst for the squad going up. Just having him in midfield, everything went through him. So individual players, individual brilliance, big Tommy Goss, Aidan Smith, like they're standout players for me when we were in the side. But obviously the manager's Peter Murphy, and he's a massive Carlisle United legend. So to work under Peter as well was special, because obviously he had certain ways of doing things. It was a lot different from going from Marcelo Bielsa and all of his coaching staff to Murph and like Alan, his assistant, and Colin, who had a good career as well. So like it was a big change, but at the same time I was 20 minutes from home, so
That's close,
it's so much closer. I could just enjoy myself, play the football I wanted to play. In the first year, they didn't play as much as I wanted to for whatever reason, whether that was because we were winning, we were on a good run. You can't really change a winning team. That's football. That's fair enough.
True, yeah.
But yeah, and then in the second year, after we got promoted and it was League One, that's obviously when you started playing Hamilton, Falkirk, all your big teams.
Big ones,
that realistically shouldn't have been in that league, but they did. They got relegated, and Falkirk won the league without being beaten all season. So they've done an beaten season. But yeah, you could definitely tell the levels in the League One, League Two side of Scotland to the Championship and Premier side of Scotland.
Yeah.
And the season before that, obviously I wasn't there, but Annan drew Rangers in like the Scottish Cup, so they had Rangers at home. Obviously it looked amazing, and I wish I was a part of that to play in it. But yeah, we were banking on getting a big team, but unfortunately we didn't.
And you said obviously Annan, you got some game time out of it, back on your feet, getting the ball rolling.
Mm-hmm.
And then came Workington. So
yeah.
How did he go from Annan up in Scotland back down to Workington, a bit more south?
So yeah, Annan from where I live is half an hour away, I'd say, just over the border. So, and then Workington is about 40 minutes, 50 minutes south from me. So like it was not too much distance in travelling, the change wise. But how it came about was obviously I signed a 2-year deal at Annan, and it came to the end of it, and Peter Murphy had moved on. He'd gone and signed for Queen of the South, which ultimately are Annan's rivals. On the map locally, they are two big rivals, but Murph wanted to be in full-time football, and Queen of the South are full-time football, with the system of how they do things. So it was understandable that he wanted to go and challenge himself in a full-time environment. Obviously, all of us players knew that's what he wanted to do, and we wished him all the best. But obviously, when the season ended, my contract was finished, and Willie Gibson, who's had a really good playing career in English football and Scottish football, Willie played for us as a player at the time, and then we kind of knew already that he was going to get the job, or he'd be in the running as such to get the job. And Annan, to be fair to them, they sent me over a letter in the post to say that obviously they'd like me to re-sign, they'd want to keep me on kind of thing, but conversations didn't really escalate between myself and Willie at the time. I asked a few questions, but I wish obviously Annan all the best. I'd never say that I don't wish a football club the best, because I do, and obviously all the players that are still there and Willie himself, like I wish them all the best for the rest of their season now, and I wish them all the best obviously when their season started. But I feel like it was the right time for me to come away, and ultimately I wanted to come back into English football. I missed being in it. I had obviously a taste of it when I was at FC United, of what it was like, and Mark Fell, who is now obviously my gaffer at Workington, was the Lancaster manager, and when I was going through that little period at Leeds where I was trying to get out at clubs and trying to play and trying to sign for someone new, Mark was someone who wanted to take me on loan, and I went for one training session with them, and for whatever reason, don't really know why, but the move on loan to Lancaster didn't go through. It kind of collapsed. So I knew the gaffer, and I knew his staff from that one night at Lancaster training. So when they got the job at Workington, he was straight on the phone to me, like he was, what are you doing for next season? What are your plans? Blah blah blah. And I took some time in the summer to think about like what I wanted to do, but obviously ultimately knowing the gaffer and getting on so well with him and having a great relationship with him, it was like, let's do it. Like it's a no-brainer. I'm going back into English football. I know I've got a manager who really, really believes in me and plays to my strengths. So it was ticking a load of boxes. So yeah, that move happened purely just off being so comfortable with him and the coaching staff.
Yeah. So it reminds me a bit of kind of like an old friend coming back and getting you back. For example, I don't know if you watched the movie, but for example, Rocky 3. Have you ever watched that before?
I'll have to re-jog my memory. I have seen them, but it's been a very long time since I watched them. Yeah.
So basically, he was on top, and then he had a loss, and then he was like kind of down in the dumps essentially, and an old friend came back and kind of trained him and believed in him again, and then he's up flying.
Yeah,
so kind of.
It was a bit like that. To be like, even I only went for one training session, but like I instantly got on well with him and his coaching staff. And then obviously I signed for FC, and we played Lancaster at home on a Tuesday night once, and it was seeing him in the tunnel and stuff, and having a bit of banter saying, "Oh, he should be playing for us," and stuff. But obviously, for whatever reason, the deal didn't go through to get me on loan. So it was one of them connections and relationships you have with a manager where you hit the ground running straight away. Exactly. And obviously when he took over at Workington, I was like, if I'm going to make this move, there is a few boys moving over from Annan to Workington as well. I thought the whole transition period will just be so smooth, and it was. It was just so easy just to fit into the club, to know the lads that were previously there already, but also joining with lads that I'd played with 2 seasons prior. It was just so easy. It was like every corner, every box was ticked just to go and just crack on with my football, and that's what I've done. And this season, I feel like I've played my best football and just enjoyed myself.
That's good. Yeah, and again, that's going back to earlier what we were talking about brotherhood, having, like you said, with Jared and now with the lads at Workington. If you have a bunch of people, you're going through the same thing together. So any ups, any downs, you talk to each other. And speaking about ups and downs, obviously you had a recent injury. And what was it, and how was it like, in rehab?
Yeah, so it was, at first I didn't actually think I'd done that much damage, to be honest. We played Lancaster, of all teams, like I've just mentioned. We played them just before Christmas, and the pitch was horrendous, to be honest. Like the weather and everything, the pitch was awful. And I've just got my body across the winger to recover back in, and I've won the ball and everything, and I've like kind of twisted my ankle, but not to an extent that it'd do damage. But as I've twisted it, he's fell on top of me, but from behind. So like my ankle just kind of collapsed on itself. So I had a partial avulsion fracture in my ankle. So yeah, I went and got an MRI done, because I carried on for 20 minutes of the game as well after doing it. So obviously with adrenaline and stuff, you didn't really feel the pain and the extent of the injury. But as soon as I got back in the changing rooms, it just ballooned up. Ankle was massive. Drove home, got into bed that night, and looked down at my foot, and I was like, yeah, this is...
What's going on here?
Yeah, this isn't right. This is something, I've actually done something here, because I heal quite quick from injuries, or if I have like a slight niggle or something, it's gone within a few days. This just wasn't settling, and I was like, yeah, this is actually serious, this. So yeah, like I say, I went and got an MRI done, waited for the results to come back, and yeah, that's what it was. It was a partial avulsion fracture, so half of my ligament had came away from my ankle bone, but had taken a bit of bone with it.
Oh wow.
So yeah, we were looking at it and thinking, God, how long's this going to be? Because it can be up to 12 weeks out. So we started the rehab process straight away. I had resistance bands and stuff just to regain the strength, and it was a long few weeks of just trying to drain the fluid out of it, take the swelling down, a lot of ice, rest, elevation, just trying to do all the right things for it. And thankfully, I'm actually ahead of schedule. Like, I'm back playing already.
That's good.
It's been a long 8 weeks. Mentally wise, though, I think I've dealt with it really, really well, because I thought I'm going to be injured now, and up until the point of me getting injured, I'd not missed a single minute of the season. I played every game. So my goal for the rest of the season was play every single minute of every single game. Yeah. But obviously then the injury hit, and it scuppered my plans. But that's just one of them ones, isn't it? You can't control what you can't control. But yeah, the whole process of getting back fit again has been really good, and mentally wise, it's actually not been that challenging. It's actually just made me even more hungry to get back in the squad. And like I say, I've come back earlier than what I thought. We're not rushing anything because we don't want any damage to come back or risk anything. But Yeah, just loads of strengthening work, loads of balancing, hopping, changing direction kind of stuff, and now it's just getting minutes back in my leg, which is the part we're at just now.
Yeah, slowly starting back up and then getting the ball rolling again.
Exactly, yeah.
And obviously you've handled it very well from what I'm hearing, from what I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have anything for younger footballers, maybe your age or younger, that have injuries? Because everyone has injuries, right? It's a thing that happens, but it's how you deal with it. What's your advice to them?
Just stay positive. Obviously, it's just an easy thing to say to someone.
Mm-hmm.
Just stay positive, because without actually being in a situation where you have to stay positive, people just be like, it's just a saying, it doesn't really mean anything. But just take every day as it is. Don't feel like you've got to rush back. Don't cause yourself any more injury than what you could have already done. Time's a great healer.
Exactly.
So just take your time, do the things that you're meant to do correctly, don't force it. Don't get frustrated with it, because what's meant to be will be. Everything happens for a reason. I'm a big believer in that.
Mm-hmm.
So just follow the steps and follow the protocols that you're meant to take. Don't go out and think, oh, I can do this, I can do that, and then you set yourself back for another 6 weeks, because then you've hindered your season already there by forcing it. So just let it run its course, and ultimately, just enjoy the process, because it gives you time to sit back and take in the minutes and games you have played previously, and reflect on it. Work on yourself. So in the last 9 weeks, I've just been non-stop in the gym. It's been like 4 times a week in the gym, working on myself mentally, physically, and coming back into the fold now, playing. I feel so much stronger and so much more positive and better to come back into it. So it gives you a real hunger and excitement to get back into it if you just allow the process to happen.
Exactly, yeah. Patience and working on what you can work on.
Exactly, yeah.
And the rest will follow.
Yeah.
And now moving to outside of football, obviously many of my guests that I've had before, one of them, for example, he was a kind of national competing for the world title boxing. He's got an accounting firm as well. Things off the pitch, because there isn't a life after football.
Yeah.
And obviously with you, the amount of, you're a busy man, right?
Yeah.
You've got football, you've got things like that, things going on here. What kind of things do you do when you're not training or playing?
So, a few days a week I work with my stepdad. He is a tree surgeon, so obviously with the recent storms and stuff, there's going to be a lot of trees that have fell down. So, a couple of days a week, I'll go into work with him, and there's a lot of council work at the minute. So, it's clearing of storm damaged trees or relaying of them, and just basically doing a clean up job. 2 days a week I work at a local car garage called Used Cars for Less. Shout out to them and Chris. Shout out to Chris and Used Cars for Less. But yeah, he's great. He's so funny and great to work with. Every day is different. It's a great laugh working for him. On a Thursday and Friday night, I do coaching for my under 11s and under 12s teams. So I love my coaching as well. I think that is something that I want to kick on and do more of, and I want to get my badges early on. So obviously that life away from football, you can step into coaching and make a career out of it. So that's Cumbria Academy. That's actually Danny Granger, who's had a very, very good career in English football and Scottish football. So that's Danny's academy. So shout out to Danny and Cumbria Academy. But as well, I've got my own property. So my dad's got a big property portfolio. So he's helped me and navigated me with when I've come into a bit of money, not to squander it, which I have done in the past, as I'm sure many youngsters have done. We all have done it, yeah. So he said, if you get another decent amount of money, put it into a property and start your property portfolio from there, because at the end of the day, it's another income. You'll get someone to live in your property and pay off your mortgage with you not having to do anything. So yeah, there's a few little irons in the fire and a lot of things away from football, as well as trying to keep myself fit and concentrate in football. But the long-term goal is to be back in full-time football. That is always the aim. It's always the goal. But if for whatever reason, obviously we don't know what will happen in the future. Take every day by day. But coaching is something that I really want to look into and do my badges get as high as I can in my badges, and hopefully go into a coaching career after football as well.
Yeah, because you're still in the game.
Mm.
It's just you're helping players, obviously, as a coach, but you're doing the thing you love, which is football. Obviously, you're obsessed with it.
Yeah.
So you're in the game and things. And obviously, you said you do a lot of things, and obviously, you got to be busy, like I said earlier. How do you manage to balance all of these things?
Sometimes it feels like I don't, to be honest. I feel like I just ride the wave and just go with it. I think I like to plan, and I think you need to have a plan. I mean, there's people in this world that can just do things off the cuff and it works for them, and like, fair play to you lot that can do it, because if I don't have a plan in place, then my head's scrambled. Like, even just little things like getting your clothes ready the day before you go to bed, so in the morning you wake up, you have a shower, you know what you're wearing.
Exactly.
Just like little things like that. It's got to be all planned out. So I think obviously having a plan is massive, knowing exactly that is what you're going to do. And if anything that changes throughout the week or the schedule that you've planned, like, don't stress over it, because obviously for whatever reason, that little blip or that little bump in the road in your schedule is what's meant to happen. So don't stress over that. But yeah, to manage it all, I think going out and working, because it's a big change from being in football full time from 8 till 21, having to actually work and do not a normal job, because every job's a normal job, but it's a normal job compared to what I was used to for all them years.
Exactly.
It's a real eye opener, and as much as I love it, and it is great, it's a great laugh, it is also that it's giving me more drive to get back into full-time football, because I know that is what I want to do.
Exactly.
I don't always want to be, well, for the rest of my life, I don't want to be playing part-time football and working on the side. I just want it to be football. Commit to it, yeah. So it's like really appreciating football when I do play football, because if I work on the side of it, it gives me inspiration to get back into where I want to.
Exactly. No, that's true. Like, you've got the thing you want is there, but you've got things here, but you want to go back to full-time football.
Yeah.
And obviously, you're speaking about looking to go into full-time football. Is that the things you're looking ahead for? Like, what's next, 2, 3, 4, 5 years? What's the plan?
Just consistency of performances. I think throughout my whole career, since I was young, my dad, but also like loads of other people have said, you never know who's watching, and you can only be as good as your last game. So if I can consistently put performances together at Workington, which I felt like I did before my injury, and coming back now, if I can consistently get that level of performance that I know I can do, get my numbers up with assists, hopefully notch in with a few goals. It'd be nice to notch in with a few goals. But my assist tally for the season already is quite high. So to add a few more to that, and you never know where it can take you, because there's been so many players from the Northern Premier League go on to big teams and big things. Like my boy Regan Linney, I was at FC United with him, and he's signed for Altrincham a season or two ago, and he's
big jump,
absolutely ripping it up. So obviously shout out to Regan. He's flying, and obviously I know that there will be league clubs sniffing around him because he is doing so well. And there's also a lad, I don't know him personally, I forgot his name, so apologies to him, but he played for Ilkeston this season, and Harrogate bought him in the January transfer window. So going from the Northern Prem to League 2 it's a big jump. So there is always people watching you, and you just don't know when and where they're going to be. So yeah, as long as I can keep my consistency in my performances, personally play well and get my numbers up, then you just don't know who's watching.
Yeah. And one thing I want to say as well is, I've heard this, I don't know who said it, but it's kind of, I try and make it my life, but you'll never miss a lucky day if you try every day.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Chances, like you said, chances are going to come. Leeds were sniffing about, you didn't know.
Yeah.
Carlisle was sniffing about, you didn't know. But because you were there every day, at some point it's going to come.
Exactly, yeah. You put in the work every day, then it'll pay off. What you give out into the universe will pay you back eventually.
Exactly. There we go.
And what is for you won't ever go past you. And that's something I stick by as well. So, yeah, it happened when I was young, it happened when I was 8, it happened when I was 17. It might happen.
Again.
It might happen again when I'm.
Yeah.
You never know. 25, 26. You just take day by day.
Yeah. And now to wrap this up, let's do some quick fire questions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, short answer words. Let's get some things out.
Yep.
And who was the best player you've ever played with?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm gonna give you two.
Go on.
Rafinha, absolute wizard of a footballer. Obviously,
He's cooking at Barcelona now.
he's now exactly. He's Barcelona's captain, but the most nicest guy you've ever met.
Yeah.
So humble. And Calvin Phillips, as well as Rafinha, maybe even more, is the nicest, most down to earth person I have ever met. He is so good. Just a quick story. I know it's quick fire, but we were playing murder ball.
Yeah.
And I got put in centre mid, and who was I marking? Calvin Phillips. And there's two times. One time I've received the ball's coming into me here, Calvin's behind me, and I've checked right and then spun on my left.
Sent him.
Calvin's gone. And I'm like, get in. I've got away from him here.
Yeah.
Gone to spray it. 2 seconds later, bang. Calvin
He's
just
there.
wiped me out. It was like, where's he come from? Like, just was instantly there, smashed me. But after he smashed me, picked me back up. He was like, come on, we need to go. Bielsa's going to like start shouting at us for not being in position.
Yeah.
So as soon as he smashed me, straight away to pick me back up again. And then again in the same murder ball session, I've sent him, got to the byline to pull it back. Again, smash.
He's always there.
Crunched me. He's honestly, his awareness and his vision in football is second to none. But as a person, he's top.
Sick. And now, obviously, the other side of the story. Who's the kind of toughest opponent, team and player you've been against? Any battles on the wing?
Ooh, team and player. Played against a lot of good players.
You've seen a lot as well.
Yeah.
Lots of leagues.
In training, there's one in training and one in game.
Go on.
Ben White, when he was at Leeds.
Yeah.
Ben White was an animal. Like, the definition of train how you play, that guy took it to like the limit. Like, he would studs up, fly into tackles in training.
Yeah.
But it's exactly how we do it on a match day. And then I'd say another one, who's my age, don't know him personally, but Tendon Mengi. He's now playing for Luton, but we played him in the Youth Cup, Leeds against Manchester United away at Old Trafford, and he was a unit. Like, you could not get past him. For his age, his size, his pace, his power on the ball, he's a top player, and obviously now he's killing it at Luton.
Yeah. That's great. And this is a bit of a naughty question, but obviously, you know, you're very kind of dedicated to being a healthy body and everything.
Yeah.
But what's your kind of go-to cheat meal?
Oh,
It's a naughty one.
it's got to be McDonald's, doesn't it? I do like a bit of a Mackey's, yeah. Bit of a Mackey's, large Big Mac or 20 chicken nuggets. Yeah, you can't beat chicken nuggets.
And before a game, what's your kind of pre-match ritual? What kind of things do you do? Kiss your shin pads, things like that?
Ooh. Obviously now I need to get my ankle strapped, so that's kind of been put into the routine.
Yeah.
I'd probably say I put my right boot on, then my left boot, but then I tie my left boot before my right boot.
Oh.
I've always noticed it's something so small, but it's so weird. I'll put my right boot on, left boot on, but then tie my left laces, then tie my right laces, and then going onto the pitch, I've got a little tattoo from my Nonna Jack that passed away. So I always like touch the grass, kiss all 3 tattoos, and then like that's it. Go time.
That's the routine.
So yeah, that's the routine. Yeah.
And if there's one player you'd love to play against, who would it be? Like a lovely battle on the wing, right back, left wing, or
I've got to say
it's a hard question, I know.
2 again, but only because I want to play against one of them just to see the range of passing.
Yeah.
So one would be Trent. I look up to Trent a lot. I think he's a fantastic player.
Yeah.
But Wan-Bissaka is you hear like the stories between him and Wilfried Zaha. Like Zaha hates playing against him because he's like obviously nicknamed the Spider. He can literally get you from anywhere. So I think trying to go up against 1v1 against Wan-Bissaka, I personally, genuinely, hand on heart, don't think I'd ever get past him because I think he's that good at 1v1 defending. But yeah, I think it would be a great battle. But then on the flip side, just to see Trent's range of passing and play, then yeah.
And do you like playing on the left or on the right or just winger?
Prefer on the left because you can come inside. But recently this season, I've actually played fullback. I've played a lot of right back, left back. But the way we play our system, Dav, who's had a great career again, Dav Simonton, played at Carlisle for a number of years. He always comes inside, so there is that room to go down the left hand side. But on the right hand side, obviously, I like to do early deliveries into the box. So the contrast between playing higher up and playing more defensively is massive, and I didn't think it would be a big change, but you see so much more of the game obviously from being deeper. But yeah, if I was going to choose which side I'd prefer, it'd probably be the left to come inside on my right foot.
Little reverse Robin.
Yeah, little reverse Robin, yeah.
2 more questions.
Mhm.
The first one is, who's the fastest player you've played against?
Ooh. Jack Harrison and Helder Costa were rapid. They were very, very quick. My first ever murder ball, I had to mark Jack Harrison. And it's safe to say it was a hard day. It was a hard day.
Oh, pace.
Pace, so much pace.
Yeah.
Just so much pace and power, but you don't know what foot he is either. He's that good on both feet, Jack Harrison. He's ripping it up. But yeah, so was Helder. Helder Costa was quick, like lightning.
And the classic, Messi or Ronaldo? Which one? Yes. Choose.
See, this question I've been asked so many times. I think I'm going to be one of these people that just ramble on about both of them, but
There you go.
Messi for just being a footballing genius.
Yeah, he's a bit of a wizard, isn't
The things he can do with the football at his feet is like there's nobody better than him with what he can do and change a game. But on the other hand, Ronaldo, I think his dedication, his work rate, 900 goals in his career is just frightening.
Says something.
It says something. His hard work and his dedication into his game and still playing at the level he is at 40 is obviously testament to him. It's credit to him.
Yeah.
So I think for any athlete or any young footballer wanting to make it pro, you look at Ronaldo, and he's the best in my eyes because of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd pick Ronaldo over Messi. But I'm going to contradict myself. On footballing ability and wizardry, Messi is like no other. So it's a bit of a...
That's a good answer.
It's a bit of a 50-50 one, yeah.
Got someone to look up to, someone to admire, kind of.
Exactly.
But yeah, thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me. I know I've absolutely loved it.
Heard your story from rising up at little Carlisle, up there, playing everywhere. It's beautiful. And obviously you were talking about earlier about kind of people reaching out to you if they need you and things like that, which obviously I respect a lot. So where can people find you? Mainly,
like Brad said, my Instagram. Yeah, so if anyone wants to reach out on my Instagram, it's josh.galloway, number 10. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
I should know that. But yeah, josh.galloway and then the number 10 afterwards. If anyone, like I say, no matter what background you're from, no matter whether you're in the sporting industry, the music industry, trade industry, like anything that you feel like you can relate to what I've said, any thoughts, any feelings, or just want a little bit more insight as to the hypnotherapy side, the therapy sessions, the counselling, then I'd be more than happy to speak to anyone about anything and everything.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been a great episode. We've got an hour, 10 minutes nearly of knowledge. Lovely story. So thank you for coming on.
No, thank you very much for having me. I've loved it.
Thank you guys for watching. Obviously, I appreciate all of you listening in. Hope you got something out of this. I had a little problem with the camera, but we'll sort it out. At least you can hear the stuff. So hope you guys enjoyed it. And I've got a lot more coming out this month. So stay tuned. Thank you.
Always.